Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey, welcome to the program. I wish I could promise it will be as hilarious as yesterday's was, but I got my doubts, let's just put it that way. The more I read about this crazy person, I think, that Trump has installed as acting attorney general, the more clear it is that we have a president who just literally is governing by impulse, by putting people in important positions because he recalls they said something nice about him once. No due diligence, no vetting. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but wow, some of the stuff in Dana Milbeck's column about Matthew Whitaker today is just mind-boggling. I mean, we already know about his being part of this company that the FTC not only shut down but fined to the point that there's nothing left but a stain on the sidewalk. But there's this other stuff. Listen to this. And there's evidence. I mean, there's these things aren't just coming out of nowhere. Whitaker once claimed that, here's his quote, DNA evidence collected in 2013 proves that Bigfoot does exist. Yep. And what he was doing is he was part of a plan to sell Bigfoot paraphernalia. This is the acting attorney general of the United States of America. He also asserted that time travel could be possible perhaps within the next decade. And this was also part of a scam because he was trying to raise money using Bitcoin for time travel research. And this was in cahoots with one of his fellow board members on this now finished off company. And they were suggesting to people who might make use of the time travel that they were going to be offering, that imagine, here's the quote, you could relive moments from your past or visit your future. This, I guess, is when you're not sitting down to dinner with Sasquatch. Oh, dear. I don't even know if I have... Okay. Hang on. Here comes another. He also, this is Whitaker, your current attorney general. He announced in the same media release, which heralded his appointment to this board, to this company, he raved about a patent application for a extra deep masculine toilet for the well-endowed. And he goes on, it's specifying the size of average male genitalia. This invention is designed, get this, for those of us who measure longer than that. Wow. Actually, Dana Milbeck ends up saying, all of these things that I'm reporting here, make some people say, wow, geez, unbelievable. This guy is so totally unfit to be the Attorney General of the United States. And he says, Milbank says, actually, I think it's patently obvious he is the exact right man for this moment in this presidency in our history. Only a man steeped in time travel and Bigfoot could successfully sell the notion that Special Counsel Mueller's inquiry is a hoax. That's a hoax. Bigfoot's not a hoax. Time travel in 10 years is not a hoax. But Robert Mueller's investigation is a hoax, according to our current acting Attorney General. So Milbank says, in tapping as the nation's top law enforcement officer, a man with experience like this, President Trump has embraced his inner crackpot. And, of course, the crackpots have embraced him. Wow. Just wow. By the way, in 2003, when Whitaker was, I guess, having to be actually vetted for a judicial position, U.S. attorney, I think, right, in Iowa, he had to fill out a questionnaire that for the Senate Judiciary Committee, and he was asked in that questionnaire to list the most significant cases that he had litigated. Now, obviously, if you're being considered for U.S. attorney, you've got a pretty hefty resume, maybe. Here are the most significant cases that Whitaker listed. Quote, personal injury claim resulting from driver of automobile driving over Mr. Harkness's leg. Here's another one. Quote, breach of contract and negligence claim arising out of dry cleaning performed by Lennox Cleaners that operated out of a Hy-Vee store in Creston, Iowa. A complaint about somebody's dry cleaning and Mr. Harkness's leg. Those were the two cases that he thought constituted his most significant cases. And here's the scary thing. He was appointed to that seat as U.S. attorney. Oh, you know, again, you can't make it up. And here's something a little weird. According to Milbank, there's a photo of Whitaker in the Florida office of this wonderful company that now does not exist, of which he was a member of the board. And in the Florida office, get this, for whatever this means, quote, there were always handsome, well-built guys coming and going. And this is according to a filing that the FTC made, the Federal Trade Commission, when they were looking into the company. There were always handsome, well-built guys coming and going. And the offices overlooked a full nudity strip club called Tootsie's Cabaret. And when the FTC went in and searched the Florida offices of the corporation that Whitaker was on the board of, it found 115 prescriptions, primarily for testosterone, and also found syringes. A promotional video for the company features Whitaker's advisory board colleague kicking and punching people in kickboxing matches. I don't think that you can. I mean, you couldn't make it up because it would be too silly. It would be just too, right? It's too over the top. And, you know, when fact and reality overwhelm fantasy, comedy, parody, we are in a very strange, frightening time. Let's think of our president and how he has behaved since the election that he trumpeted as a big win for him. As far as I can tell, he is having the longest temper tantrum he's had since taking office. He is literally refusing to do his job. He is, all the pictures of him you see these days, he's in full pout. He looks more like Alec Baldwin doing him than he usually does. Just angry, lashing out at anybody and everybody, of course only at our allies and even fellow Republicans. This is a White House in such disarray that you'll recall that our UN ambassador, Nikki Haley, stepped down. What was that? That was some time ago now. It feels like everything feels like a long time in this administration. He has not filled that seat. There were all kinds. I remember telling you, apparently he's going to put in the former Fox News anchor, who now is the spokesperson for, I don't know, one of the federal agencies. Can't remember, maybe state. But that has not actually happened. Now, of course, the second in command in terms of his national security advisors, the right-hand woman to John Bolton, has bolted, not of her own volition, but because the First Lady, Jesus, got angry and demanded her firing. She's gone. And, I mean, she was horrific by all accounts, this woman. No one's going to miss her except the even more horrific John Bolton, who brought her into the White House. And the problem with when these people start leaving, and they're going to be leaving, Kirstjen Nielsen will be leaving as head of Homeland Security, John Kelly again reportedly leaving as chief of staff, and on it goes. The problem here is, as loathsome and incompetent as many of the people are who will be getting tossed from this White House, the people who will be replacing them will be so much worse. I mean, all we have to do is look at the fact that we're now almost looking wistfully at Jefferson Beauregard Sessions, our former Attorney General, a vile little man, to be sure. But he had a level of competence, I guess, in his vileness. It wasn't that he was unaware of basic law and things like that. Whitaker is on record as saying that he doesn't think Jews or Muslims or atheists should be able to be federal judges. So God knows who's going to end up who our new Homeland Security Secretary will be. God only knows. No competent person, no person with a soul would serve this administration. So I think we're in for, my little rendition here of parts of Whitaker's resume will be repeated over and over with other new people that we'll come to know and watch in absolute terror and astonishment. I think it's generally known that Whitaker is so appalling that even the Republicans many are pushing back on him. Oh, my. Okay, thank you. Milton has sent me this. Oh, brother. A self-proclaimed conservative gift expert. What the hell is a gift expert? Is touting a timely toy for children. Here's the statement from its homepage, which the company is called keepandbear.com. We are pleased to announce the launch of a brand new line of toys. MAGA, Make America Great Again, building blocks. This set comes with more than 100 pieces, including President Trump in a MAGA hard hat. This is a total ripoff of Legos. It's Legos. It's just Legos. That's not patented, I guess. It's just friggin' Legos. And the first kit, if you get this for your kid, they're going to have a whole bunch of gray Legos, which they put together to form a wall. And then they stick the Lego-like Trump with the red tie, although the red tie is not long enough, and his little red MAGA hat. And you put that in front of the wall. The set only costs $29.95 and is available for pre-order from this site. Not that I want to give them a shout out. God. And people will buy that. They will. Unbelievable. Okay. So as the vote count continues, I mean, it's just amazing how many races are not called. It's amazing. There's what, like 5 or 6, maybe more in California. They're in Maine. They're in New Jersey. They're in Georgia, Mississippi, Florida. I mean, it's incredible. And as these votes keep getting counted, it's becoming more and more clear that the Democrats did even better than we thought on election night. It looks totally possible that we could pick up 40 seats. 40 seats. What did we need? 23? 40 seats. All of the congressional seats that are still being counted in California, I believe the Democrats are in first place in all of them, and many having come from behind now to hold leads. So that could be, those could be all additional seats as well. Also in the Senate, what appeared on election night to be a pickup of 4 or 5 seats for the Republicans, that is not holding. That is now likely to look like a majority of 1 or 2 seats for the Republicans. Have pretty much just held the line. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot still out. And I did read a piece today that said the 2020 election, there'll be 3 states that will be the center. Because, again, we got the Electoral College to deal with, right? What are the 3 states that just because of really a few votes in each of them put their electoral votes in Trump's column and gave him the win? They were our state, Pennsylvania. They were Michigan, and they were my home state of Wisconsin. The election, the midterm, all 3 of those states overwhelmingly went back to the Democrats. The governorships in all 3 states are now Democratic. The congressional delegation, obviously here in Pennsylvania, grew substantially. 4 women, 4 Democratic women winning in Philly, and Connor Lamb winning, of course, here. So I think that, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we got to be smart about our candidate. But Trump being Trump is not going to add and not going to attract people. He only knows how to talk to his base, to excite his base. And what the election Tuesday showed is that he has now lost independents. Independents voted for him. I mean, more than voted for Hillary. And the swing among independents is big against him. And then there's all those suburban Republican women. And there's the fact that Sinema in Arizona attracted, what was it, 17% of Republican voters, the Democrat. So I'm just saying, the more you and the closer you look, the better it is. However, here's a little negative. Gerrymandering. One of the reasons Pennsylvania was able to pick up the seats we did is because of court rulings to draw district lines that were not intended to only elect Republicans. And as soon as fair district lines were drawn by a neutral party, Democrats picked up the seats that they should have had all along. So even though we have picked up all these seats and won a clear, again, majority of the popular vote, in 3 states that are heavily gerrymandered to elect Republicans, those are Wisconsin, Ohio, and North Carolina, the Democrats did not pick up a single congressional seat. And understand that 2 of those states I just mentioned are 2 of the 3 that I mentioned of having 2, but they didn't take congressional seats. They threw out their executive branch in the statewide elections for governor. the Republicans lost. But in the gerrymandered districts that they drew, they were able to hold those districts because those districts are drawn to elect Republicans. And unfortunately, that will not change unless courts step in before the presidential election. Because the next time we get a new census and are able to redraw districts because of those new numbers, that will come after the next presidential election in 2020. So those gerrymandered districts continue. And the gerrymandered districting in Texas clearly kept Democrats from picking up another 4 or 5 seats. In that huge state of Texas, Democrats flipped only 2 congressional seats, but they came this close in about 6 others, and that is within gerrymandered districts. So, again, Republicans can only hold power unless they're stacking the deck, unless they're essentially engaging in cheating in whatever way they can. And the same for Michigan. Michigan only picked up Michigan, again, no seats, no congressional seats, but painfully close in a whole bunch of others. So without these Republican gerrymandered maps in existence, it is quite possible that Democrats in this last midterm election could have picked up 50 seats. I'm just saying. And we have a caller. Hello, caller.
Hey, Lynn, it's Mike in D.C.
Hi, Mike.
Or should I say the second home of Amazon?
Ha ha.
It is 6 miles from my house, and I couldn't be happier. So.
Oh, you are happy?
I'm very happy, yeah.
Why?
Because we have the infrastructure to hold all those people. They created a special HOV lane just for rich people that go from my house to that 6 miles. And it will increase my house value by probably maybe $200,000. And they were always going to build it here anyway because that's where his house was.
Yeah, I know. But Mike,
pretending otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, but you're talking only from self-interest is why you like it. What about the people?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm saying what about the non-rich people who won't be using the HOV lane, and because your house is going up $200,000, and so will all the all rental units, all other houses, the housing market will go sky high, and you're going to be seeing people literally priced out of homes.
They already are.
There'll be more.
You know,
There'll be
more. It'll be steeper, but they already are. My next door neighbor, there are 2 millennials, and they were like, "How can one person afford your house?" And because they're 2 millennials, and they need both of their income just to pay for the mortgage. So anybody reasonable is already priced out of where I live. It's been that way for 15 years. So a little worse isn't going to change anything. And Crystal City is right across the river. It's right on a metro stop. Most people are going to take the metro. The city gives subsidies for taking the metro. If anybody has to get it, we're a good place to get it. It's not like turning Pittsburgh into Washington, D.C. You guys didn't have the infrastructure. You didn't have, this is the right location. If it's going to affect us,
you're welcome
people,
to it.
It's already affecting the poor people.
Yeah, okay. You're welcome to it. I am so relieved it is not here.
Yeah, they just use you guys as a way to get money out of Virginia.
Yeah, but my
You know?
understanding is, wait a minute, my understanding is that Virginia's incentives were not that high to them. They offered half of
right.
what the national
Yep.
average is, and New York offered twice the national average. Pittsburgh offered more than Virginia offered, and God, my sister was always talking about this Foxconn in Wisconsin. You know what the Foxconn in Wisconsin that Susan's always bringing up. Wisconsin offered Foxconn 20 times the national average incentive to bring in a company. 20 times. I can't even imagine. They gave them the state treasury. So
yeah, and Virginia said you only get these tax subsidies if you hire this many people, only if you spend this much money on rental property, only if. So there are all these conditions. It's not like, here's your money. So,
but there's
Virginia
something.
knew.
Yeah, but tell me how obscene it is.
They knew.
Tell me how obscene it is that one of the richest companies in the world, run by the richest man in the world, gets help, incentives, gets money for deigning to set down in a particular area, takes that money that should be going to needy people, that should be going to schools, that should be going to public infrastructure, that should be going to a lot of things. It is unconscionable. It is obscene. It is indefensible. Correct?
But it isn't surprise. It is correct, but it isn't surprising.
Well,
this is the way, this is the way capitalism works. And pretending otherwise,
I know,
is obscene. It is crazy.
It's crazy. But
I'm just
saying that is so. To be a proud capitalist, are you able to be a moral person? Are you able to? Are you going to heaven? If there is one, I don't think so. I mean, the kind of capitalism we've got here, this unfettered capitalism, is it's just loathsome. I'm sorry, I keep using these same words over and over. But you're welcome to it. And you know what? I suppose it'll increase maybe what you're paid too, because people, pay will go up. Yeah. Well.
But that's not why I called. I called with good news for you, for all of us. And I just read an article on Salon not 20 minutes ago that said that North Carolina did pick up a Supreme Court justice. They now have 5 Democrats and 2 Republican Supreme Court justices. There is legislation pending.
For gerrymandering.
Undoing the gerrymandering.
That's great.
Because it impedes with the North Carolina state constitution, just like Pennsylvania did. So by 2020, that may be undone.
Okay, so they might be able to get that.
There's not much that can be done, apparently.
That is great. Oh, that is good news. That is good news. So this is how it happens. Little by little, we start taking it
one state
back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's
same with the teachers. Same with the teachers picketing, right? West Virginia started it. Then, that's how it has to happen.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for that
good news. We're in an
news.
oligarchy now.
Yeah. Oh, we're a lot of things, but we are not a democracy. I thank you. Enjoy.
Have a good day.
Okay. Enjoy Amazon. Bye. Yeah. Bye. I go out of my way not to buy a damn thing from them. I boycott them. I am like I hate them. It's like I never darken the door of a Walmart. I don't like monopoly. I don't like big guys. I just don't. Caller. Hello. Hello.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Second time I said it, but that's the way it is. But you know what? This all volunteer service, or I don't know what you want to call it, in the military, maybe we go back to the other way it was, because look what it's costing us. In, you know what I mean, money-wise.
What do you say?
The budget's at 800 billion or whatever it is.
Well, I mean,
are we getting our money's worth? I mean,
what are you talking about? The fact that we don't have a conscription, the fact that we have a voluntary army is expensive?
Well, it's very expensive, is what I'm saying, is for what we're paying, what we're getting. That's all.
Look,
$800 billion. I don't know how was that, for 2 years or a year? I mean, isn't that? And wouldn't you would think if we're spending all this money in the last few decades, wouldn't things be getting better?
Well, a report
they seem
they're
to
getting
be
worse.
Getting worse.
Right, a bipartisan report came out saying that if we were to tomorrow, I guess, go to war with either Russia or China, we could well lose. Okay, and then somebody pointed out on Twitter, like that's a shock. We lost to Vietnam. We lost to Afghanistan. Why the hell wouldn't we lose to China and Russia?
Well, there you go. We were there 17 years now.
Well,
what's
do you know
up with
what?
that? And nobody says anything about it.
Do you know, I read, and this just, it blew my mind. There was a young man who was just deployed to Afghanistan whose father was killed in Afghanistan when he was a baby. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
This is a guy now deployed who never knew his father. His father was killed in the very war that he has now been deployed to.
And for what?
You tell me.
For both. For what?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's no, and you know what? They're going to go after and cutting other stuff, and it's like, well, why don't you have a tax for the military? And then people would look at it and say, why are we spending so much money? But since it's not like a tax, and nobody don't seem to be bothered by it. Oh, go ahead and spend $700 billion here. Doesn't matter.
Well, we are taxed.
But if you would tax,
well, specifically for the military, because I'm such a.
I mean, have like entitlements have. Have a military tax that you see on your paycheck, and then people would say, why in the hell are we spending so much money? But see, they don't see that. They don't see that we're spending that money. And the first thing they want to do is say, hey, we're in debt. We got to cut the entitlements.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but that's taxed. We're paying for that. That's what gets me about it. But they keep on doing the same thing over. It's going to kill us. One of these days, it's getting to the point where it's almost $1 trillion. It's going to kill us.
Yeah. And it's a way. It's a way of.
And three stations: CNN, MSNBC, and Fox. They are war propagandists. They promote war. They glamorize war.
I agree.
That's what they do on there.
Okay, I agree. And
all the time.
And the thing is that what you're talking about is something that, of course, President Eisenhower warned us all about, and it is totally in existence, and that is the military-industrial complex, which is this huge program. And it's absolutely part and parcel of the infrastructure of our government now, where a huge
economy.
It's a huge amount of our tax dollars are handed over to the defense sector. And that means to the missile makers, the plane makers, and everything else that the military requires, which is, of course, pretty much anything you can imagine. And all we do is lose wars. So there you go. Thank you.
We always have an enemy.
Yeah,
we always have a boogeyman. Always somebody's going to invade us, but nobody ever does, except for 9/11. But it's like.
And those were the Saudis. And those are our
it was
friends.
We went to Iraq.
All right, okay.
Or
I don't want.
Afghanistan.
Okay. let's not.
I know this is rehashing stuff.
It sure
but I
is.
just was amazed.
And my blood
at
pressure's
how people
going up.
just swallow it whole.
Okay, I hear you.
Yep.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
We'll see you. Bye.
Bye. Oh my God, that got me upset. So did this. Perfume makers are now selling high-end perfume marketed to little girls as young as 3. Capitalism, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, these are luxury brands, perfume for children. It's a very niche market, but it's even more niche when the prices are so astronomical. We're talking about one of these perfumes is called, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's French, and it translates to spoiled brat. All right, so you can get this perfume for your child for maybe just a stocking stuffer called Spoiled Brat, and it sells for $280 an ounce. It smells a bit citrusy and has notes of cucumber and bubble gum. Okay, let me see. Let me try to keep myself under some control here. I just want to say that when I saw that one of the newer members of Congress, they haven't been sworn in yet, right? But they're there being told how the place functions and everything, being oriented, I guess. How one of the more high-profile new members spent her first day staging a protest, a sit-in, in the office of what will probably be the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi. And I'm talking, of course, of the 29-year-old darling of the Bernie Sanders crowd, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And I saw that picture of her with these protesters sitting in Nancy Pelosi's office. And I mean, I really had to do a double take because I thought, wait a minute. Hey, yoo-hoo, Alexandria, you're now a member of the Congress. You can go to Nancy Pelosi and talk to her. And in fact, holding a sit-in in her office on the first day, I don't think is going to make you, if I were Nancy, I would not be real happy with that. Are you looking for some good committee assignments? Are you looking to get along with your fellow Democrats, even if you really technically aren't? You're a socialist. I mean, what the fuck? It's stupid. And I'm thinking she's a grandstander because that thing that she did yesterday accomplishes nothing. Nothing. I mean, she's not on the outside anymore. She's on the inside. You don't have to do that kind of activity. Now she's been placed in a position where she can try to get things done by virtue of her voice through the process. I mean, I looked at it, I thought, are you kidding me? It's not helpful. It's not helpful to anything. It doesn't move anything forward. Just typical on the left. We take over this body, we take over the House, and right away we're aiming at each other as opposed to at the Republicans. It's absolutely counterproductive and fucking stupid. Excuse me, I had to say that. I had to give a speech last night, and at this speech, there was another guy who also spoke, who is he was the CEO of one of these AI. I don't understand what anybody does anymore. He was a CMU researcher. And then he formed his own company. And I remember where it was. It was called Vivissimo or something. And it was up at the corner of Forbes and Murray and Squirrel Hill on the second floor because they had a really nice logo. And I know there was a lot of stuff going on in there. And apparently they were creating a lot of really impressive, I don't know what, software? Is that what they do? And he, IBM noticed, and IBM came calling because it ain't there anymore. IBM bought him. So I imagine this guy, I imagine he's rich as hell. That was his company. And so rather than just, kick up his heels and, go buy an island somewhere, he, of course, started another company. So he's working on this other thing right now. He's a native of Cuba. English is his second language. He's an immigrant. And he gave a speech about how, about leadership and how the smart way to get ahead. And there was so much wisdom that he was imparting. And one of the things he said that I'm going to try to take to heart, and you should too, is that he talks about how, and I guess it made me think of this because of this, like Alexandria, whatever her name is, doing what she did. It's not smart. If you want to be heard, if you're part of a collegial kind of entity, I mean, if you're part of a corporation, if you're working with other people, if you're in the Congress, you don't want to needlessly make people unhappy with you because it won't ever help you get anywhere. And so he said that if you're ever, and it would require so much control, but he said anytime you're ever about to say something, because at the moment you're going to say it, it's going to make you feel good. It ain't going to make the person you're talking to feel good, but you're going to get a shot in. You're going to score a point. He says if you can always just pause and say, what will this get me? Other than this fleeting moment of, ha, ha. And he said if you can actually stop yourself from doing that, oh, the places you can go. But it requires this self-restraint. Not getting the point scored at the moment. Not getting the win. Not getting the rush of, ha, I told him. And then he talked about how we're assaulted by so much information that it is so important to prioritize what we do, what we give our attention to. And this guy, who I'm sure is rich as hell, who's IBM bought out and now he's working on something else, he pulled out his phone. It's not a smartphone. He said, I don't have a smartphone. I just got this little flip phone. I use it like a phone. Because I spend so much of my day looking at screens. Why would I continue to do that when I could, he said, be watching the squirrel out the window? I could be reminiscing about something wonderful that happened. I could be engaging with my children. And I thought, wow, this guy who's in this whole technological thing, who works in it, who understands it, who invents stuff and that's valuable, so IBM comes calling and blah, 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 blah. He doesn't have a smartphone. That's how smart he is. And he said to me, because I went up to him and said, I just think that's just amazing. And he said, I just get so depressed when I'm somewhere and everybody is like that. I'm so sick of not seeing people's faces because they're not up, they're down. And what he said to me is, he said, talk to them. He said, you'd be surprised. I think their faces usually are down because they don't know what else to do. They need constant something coming in. But if you were to start talking to them, he said, generally, I think they'd be perfectly happy to. And I'm not so sure he's right about that, but I'm sure on some occasions he is, whatever. But he says that's what he does. He said, I like to pull people's faces, up, back up. And it was interesting because this was a Toastmasters. That's an organization that helps people learn how to do public speaking and also teaches leadership skills. And in this little Toastmasters group, I was blown away by the number of people born in other countries that were there. And I was thinking, this is why immigrants are such an amazing, amazing force in this country. The woman who was leading it is from Germany, an American now. And a guy named Abdullah, a young man, got up and talked for a bit. And there was a guy from India who also, and these guys, they have accents, and they're trying to learn how to succeed in this country. Starting in this small group, networking, meeting people, learning how to present themselves, how to speak. And I'm looking at these people and I'm thinking, you are the kind of people that make this country great. What a diverse crowd that was. Black and brown and male and female and different ages, and fascinating. Just saying. And I was just very moved by it. And so many of the people seemed unlike most of the people I know. They just seemed so conscientious, so earnest, so intent on doing something. and willing to do the work, learning to better themselves. I was just humbled, truly. Did you see the clips? These are just little teasers of Monica Lewinsky talking about her life. Apparently, is it A&E? Somebody is starting a broadcasting in a documentary about Monica Lewinsky, and it's called. It's a series. It's called The Clinton Affair. And she wanted it called The Clinton Affair because she finally has gotten to the point where she's sick of it being about her. Because he was the one who acted. He was the man in power. He retained his power while her life went down the tubes, altered forever. And she's now 45 years old. I watched a little bit of her speaking. Wow is all I want to say. Impressive. So well spoken. So smart, so willing to honestly open up about the 22-year-old she was and how it happened and how regretful she is and how she has and continues to apologize to Hillary and to Chelsea for what she did. She has no apology to make to Bill Clinton, but she feels, and in it she says, I think he should apologize to me. And I saw that clip, and it's very, very powerful. He has refused to apologize to her, by the way, in any way. He led the demonization of her, and Hillary certainly aided and abetted in that. And she says this: if you want to know what power looks like, watch a man. He's talking about him. Watch a man safely, even smugly, be interviewed for decades without ever worrying whether he will be asked the questions he doesn't want to answer. Think about it. How many people, how many times Bill Clinton been interviewed and nobody has said, I really need to ask you about Monica Lewinsky. No one ever did it. She said, I don't know if I'm owed a personal apology from Bill Clinton, or deserving of it, but she says that he should want to apologize. She said, I'm less disappointed by him and more disappointed for him. He would be a better man for it, and we, in turn, a better society. And she's right. And frankly, he now, finally, I think, because of Me Too, and because of, he's going to be asked these questions. Now, finally. But it's a very impressive woman. That woman, as Bill Clinton, I never had sexual relations with that woman. Monica Lewinsky. impressive woman finally coming out and setting the record straight and putting the onus on the man in power. Okay, so that's apparently starting on Sunday on A&E. I'm just telling you, it looks interesting. I think that's it. And I'll look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, okay? Bye-bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.